Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Childers, and today we'll be touching on a topic that hits close to home for me, as I have been affected by it and would not wish it on any other. Um, Natural disasters is what we'll be talking about. I want to give you guys some early signs that you can look for to avoid them, and some of the worst in each category to give you an idea of how dangerous these disasters can be. These disasters can be devastating, whether it be through the massive property damage or massive loss of life. There are already warning sirens and other warning systems in place to help with the avoidance of these disasters, but may not always be according to give off the warning too late. Tsunamis are essentially the creation of a large wave through some kind of turbulence in the ocean. The biggest cause of large tsunamis are earthquakes, but they can also be caused by large land masses falling into the ocean, creating a large wave barreling towards any nearby coast. The biggest giveaway that a tsunami is inbound is to look at the ocean. If the water is recessed away from the beach, it is time to get out of there, as a large wave is building towards you. One of the worst cases of a tsunami to date is the tsunami of Sumatra, Indonesia in 2004. The cause of the tsunami was a 9.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Sumatra, causing a displacement of the seafloor and creating a large wave. The tsunami was 1,300 kilometers long, and the wave was as tall as 50 meters. The astonishing thing about the tsunami was that it was capable of reaching 3 miles inland. The tsunami was not only had a high amount of property damage, estimated at 10 billion US dollars, but also had a large death toll of 230,000 people reported. An earthquake is the violent shaking of the ground caused by the shifting or movement of Earth's crust and mantle. The earthquake is usually a product of the grinding of two of the Earth's crust grinding against each other, causing what we feel on the surface. There's no real warning sign for this besides the seismic activity and the foreshock that you can feel right before a large earthquake occurs. The largest earthquake in recorded history has been the Great Chilean earthquake of 1960. The quake registered as a 9.5 out of 10 on the Richter scale and caused about 3 to 6 billion US dollars in damage across multiple countries, and even as far as Hawaii was affected by the cast-off tsunami from the quake. The death toll for this could not be exact, as it was said between 490 and 6,000. Volcanic eruptions are when pools of magma have managed to surface from the Earth's crust and take place when there is seismic activity causing the magma to shoot up and away from the Earth's surface. As for warnings when a nearby eruption may happen, it is up to the scientists to monitor them and give out a warning with enough time to evacuate when they see the seismic activity increase. One of the worst eruptions to date was Mount Tambora of Sumbawa Island, Indonesia in 1815. The eruption of this supervolcano was able to be heard 1,200 miles away on Sumatra Island. There is no estimated total for property damage, but the death toll was 71,000 people. The supervolcano not only rained magma all over the island it inhabited, but rained ash down upon all nearby islands as well. Disease has been the worst of all natural disasters through history, especially since we didn't have the medical technology we have today to stop the spread of the disease before. Disease was such a monster because not only did we not have the advancement in the medical field, but because of living conditions and the inability to stop the spread. One of the most well-known cases from the past has been the bubonic plague, or the Black Death. It was responsible for the deaths of 75 to 200 million individuals and was most prominent in Europe, where it decreased the population by 30 to 60%. It was spread through ticks and mice mostly, as they were the main courier for the disease. The worst pandemic of disease outbreak though, is the spread of Spanish flu. The disease killed 50 to 100 million people, and instead of going after the elderly and young, this disease was affecting healthy 20 to 40-year-olds. The main reason for the spread of this disease was World War I, as it was heavy trench warfare with tons of people crammed into small spaces. A hurricane is a tropical storm that has wind speeds of at least 74 miles per hour. They form well off the coast and are tracked heavily by meteorologists, so the warning systems for these disasters can mitigate a lot of loss of life. However, they are still very destructive and can destroy whole portions of states. Hurricane Andrew at its time was the most destructive hurricane in U.S. history and cost $26 billion in U.S. and damages. On top of that, 65 people lost their lives to the storm. Hurricane Andrew became a Category 5 hurricane before making landfall and carried with it up to winds up to 165 miles per hour. Hurricane Katrina was one of the costliest storms in U.S. history, causing $108 billion in damages. It was also the deadliest hurricane in U.S. history, causing 1,245 deaths. The storm was misleading as it made landfall in Florida and immediately degraded into a tropical storm. Then it traveled through the Gulf of Mexico, turning back into a Category 3 hurricane before making fall in southeast Louisiana. A famine is a widespread scarcity of food caused by several factors, including crop failure, population imbalance, or government policies. Famine leads to starvation, depression, malnutrition, and death. One of the biggest famines in recent history was the North Korean famine in 1994 to 1998. The famine stemmed from a variety of factors. Economic mismanagement and the loss of Soviet support caused food production and imports to decline rapidly. A series of floods and droughts exacerbated the crisis. 240,000 to 300 or 3.5 million North Koreans died from starvation or hunger-related illnesses. Tornadoes are a violently rotating column of air that rotates while in contact with both the surface of the earth and different types of clouds up in the sky. The tornado can be registered as an F0 through F5, with F5 being the highest, and the wind speeds vary between 100 miles per hour and 300 miles per hour. The tri-state tornado in 1925 is said to be the worst tornado in U.S. history. The death toll for this twister was 695 people and injured 2027. It traveled more than 300 miles, hitting Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, and it was registered as an F5 tornado with winds up to 260 miles per hour. The tornado warning system is pretty good, but it is for naught if you have no shelter for one. All of our warning systems for natural disasters are pretty advanced, but still there are tons of death and damages done by these disasters. Maybe one day we can perfect these systems to avoid the need for loss of life when one rolls around.